Welcome to Advent of Code with Pandas. This is day 10. So here is our input data. Every line here is an instruction, and there are two types of instructions, add x and no op. Add x will have an integer to the right. You will add this number to the registry. The registry begins with a value of 1. No op doesn't add anything to the registry. So what we're going to be doing here is accumulating the value of the registry as we go down and read through these instructions. Now this seems pretty simple, except that there's one issue, and that addx actually takes 2 steps in order to finish completing, and you add the value to the registry after that step. So in order to do this problem correctly, you have to keep track of not only the registry, but the step number. So addx takes 2 steps, no-op takes 1 step. And then we're going to report the value of the every 40th registry beginning with step 20. So I'll cover what is actually to be reported at the very end. What we want to do now is just set up this problem in Pandas. This is actually a great problem for Pandas. It handles it very nicely. So we're going to read these in, and then we're just going to make this, all the addx's be 2 steps and no ops 1 step. All right, so here's actually the entire solution, but I've commented out each step that we're going to do. So the first thing is we're going to read in the data. We're going to use a single space as the separator, which creates 2 columns here. And we're going to just look at the first column, or sorry, the second column. So that's column with integer location 1. So we're going to select that. No ops don't have any value over here, so they'll have a missing value like this. All right, so the second step here is we're going to call an apply function, which is just simply a for loop that goes down here. If this is a missing value, so we're just going to report back 0, so we're not going to add anything to the registry. Otherwise, we're going to create like 2 steps. I'm actually going to return a list of 0, x. So this is for all the addx's. This will turn into 0, 1. This will turn into 0, 2, and so forth. So let's go ahead and run this. So this is how I can say this is 2 steps worth. The no op, right, is just going to be 0. Okay. The next step is to explode this. So the explode method turns any list into 2 or turns that list into that many number of entries, right? So there's 2 entries here. I don't want this to stay as a list. I want to make it one single series. So I'm going to explode this, and let me just do 10. So you can see here now, 0, 1, this is the first step, and then no op is 0, and then the next one, 2, turns into 0, 2, like that, and so forth. What's important to see here is that the index has stayed the same, right? So the no ops will have 1 value for the index, and the addx's will have 2. Now, because the addition to the registry, this is kind of like a trick to the problem, happens at the very end, like after it is already read, we need to shift this down 1. So we're going to shift everything down 1. The very first value is going to be 1, so I'm just going to use fill-NA to make that 1, so it initializes as 1. And then I'm going to take the cumulative sum. So this is really like the value of the registry after the operation has completed, right? So we're just going to keep on accumulating the value of the registry. The index is not what we want, it's not the step number. So we're just going to reset the index. And so this is, during that step, this is the value. Okay, so this is exactly what we want. We've got the value of the registry during that step. So during step 0, it has the value of 1. It also has a value of 1 during step 1. And step 2 has a value of 2, and so forth. All right, so this is exactly how you set up the problem. This is basically the meat of the problem. What we need to respond is every 40th beginning at the 20th step. So since Pandas starts at 0 index, let me just show you this slicing. So this is what we want to report, and they want us to multiply the step number times the actual value. So I'm actually going to use pipe here, which will pipe in this 6-item series into here. So x is just the series itself. I'm going to multiply this times the index, but I need to add 1 to the index. And so we'll get this, and then all I need to do is sum it up. That's the final thing to get our solution. All right, so that is part 1. Very cool tricks with pandas. And if you really want to learn more about pandas, you'll really love my book, Master Data Analysis with Python. It's extremely comprehensive, hundreds of exercises, video lessons, and even certification exams. All right, so the second part is to decode this message basically over here, and if the value of the registry is within 1 of the index, then it will, we can actually, what it really says is to put a hash symbol here. So if it's within 1 of itself, of the step number, then put a hash symbol there. If not, use really it says a dot like this. So notice all of these, actually the first ones are within 1. These are not, or actually that's not, this one is within 1 and so forth. So that's what this between does. And I can comment this out so you can see this. I'm just going to just turn this into a true or false. Then I'm going to replace the true and false with a value like this for a string. And then what it says, now we can turn this into a message. Every 40th one, we're going to look in chunks of 40, and we're going to turn this horizontal. And so to do that, I'm just going to group by the index value, integer division 40. This creates 6 distinct groups because there's 240. So the first 40 will be one group, the next 40 will be another group. And I'm just going to sum it up. So I'm just going to sum these 1-character strings up, and I will get this, and this is our message, and that's what we return. So sometimes it's easier, I think, just to get rid of the dots. And yeah, so there's no swift way of doing pattern recognition to determine what this is. So you have to kind of manually type this out, or at least that's what I did. But you can still do this all within Pandas. So very cool that this is possible with Pandas. All right, so that's it for day 10 of Advent of Code with Pandas.